Everyone, in this video I'm going to begin the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the divine and demoniac natures. In the previous chapter, Lord Krishna explained to Arjuna the yoga of the Supreme Person, about the material world which is depicted as a banyan tree with its roots upward and its branches down, and about his own planet, the spiritual world. Let us begin with these shlokas. श्रीभगवानुवाच अभयं सत्त्वसंशुद्धिर्ज्ञानयोगव्यवस्थितिः दानं दमश्च यज्ञश्च स्वाध्यायस्तपार्जवम् अहिंसा सत्यमक्रोधस्त्यागः दयाभूतेष्वलोलुप्त्वं माधवं ह्रीरचापलं तेजक्षमा धृतिः शौचम् अद्रोहो नातिमानिता भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवीम् अभिजातस्य भारत. The meaning, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Abhayam, fearlessness, Sattva Samshuddhihi, purification of one's existence, Jnana, in knowledge, Yoga, of linking up, Vyavasthitihi, the situation, Dhanam, charity, Damaha, controlling the mind, Cha, and Yajnaha, performance of sacrifice, Cha, and Swadhyaya, study of Vedic literature, Tapaha, austerity, Arjavam, simplicity, Ahimsa, non-violence, Satyam, truthfulness, Akrodhaha, freedom from anger, Tyagaha, renunciation, Shantihi, tranquility, Apeshanam, aversion to fault finding, Daya, mercy, Bhuteshu, towards all living entities, Aloluptvam, freedom from greed, Mardhavam, gentleness, Hrihi, modesty, Achapalam, determination, Tejaha, vigor, Kshama, forgiveness, Dhritihi, fortitude, Shaucham, cleanliness, Adroha, freedom from envy, not, Atimanita, expectation of honor, Bhavanti, are, Sampadam, the qualities, Daivim, the transcendental nature, Abhijatasya, of one who is born of, Bharata, O son of Bharata. The whole meaning is, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. Srila Prabhupada explains. In the beginning of the 15th chapter, the banyan tree of this material world was explained. The extra roots coming out of it were compared to the various activities of the living entities, some auspicious, some inauspicious. In the 9th chapter also, the Devas or godly and the Asuras, the ungodly or demons, were explained. Now, according to the Vedic rites, activities in the mode of goodness are considered auspicious for progress on the path of liberation, and such activities are known as Daivi Prakriti, transcendental by nature. Those who are situated in the transcendental nature make progress on the path of liberation. For those who are acting in the modes of passion and ignorance, on the other hand, there is no possibility of liberation. Either they will have to remain in this material world as human beings, or they will descend among the species of animals or even lower life forms. In the 16th chapter, the Lord explains both the transcendental nature and its attendant qualities and the demoniac nature and its qualities. He also explains the advantages and disadvantages of these qualities. The word Abhijatasya is in reference to one born of transcendental qualities or godly tendencies. This is very significant. To beget a child in godly atmosphere in the Vedic scriptures is known as Garbhadana Samskara. If the parents want a child in the godly qualities, they should follow the 10 principles recommended for the social life of the human being. In the Bhagavad Gita, we have studied also that before that sex life, for begetting a good child is Krishna himself. Sex life is not condemned, provided the process is used in Krishna consciousness. Those who are in Krishna consciousness at least should not get children like cats and dogs, but they should beget them so that they may become Krishna conscious after the birth. The advantage should be the children born of a father and mother absorbed in Krishna consciousness. The social institution known as Varnashrama Dharma, the institution dividing society into 4 divisions of social life and 4 occupational divisions or castes, is not meant to divide human society according to birth. Such divisions are in terms of educational qualifications. They are to keep the society in a state of peace and prosperity. The qualities mentioned herein are explained as the transcendental qualities meant for making a person progress in spiritual understanding so that he can get liberated from the material world. In the Varnashrama institution, the sannyasi, or the person in the renounced order of life, is considered to be the head or the spiritual master of all the social statuses and orders. A Brahmana is considered to be the spiritual master of the three other sections of a society, namely the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. But a sannyasi, who is on top of the institution, is considered to be the spiritual master of the Brahmanas also. For a sannyasi, the first qualification should be fearlessness. Because a sannyasi has to be alone without any support or guarantee of support, he has to simply depend on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one thinks, after I leave my connections, who will protect me? He should not accept the renounced order of life. One must be fully convinced that Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his localized aspect as Paramatma, is always within, that he is seeing everything and he always knows what one intends to do. One must thus have a firm conviction that Krishna as Paramatma will take care of a soul surrendered to him. I shall never be alone, one should think. Even if I live in the darkest regions of a forest, I shall be accompanied by Krishna and he will give me all protection. That conviction is called abhayam, fearlessness. This state of mind is necessary for a person in the renounced order of life. Then he has to purify his existence. There are so many rules and regulations to be followed in the renounced order of life. Most important of all, a sannyasi is strictly forbidden to have any intimate relationship with a woman. He is even forbidden to talk with a woman in a secluded place. Lord Chaitanya was an ideal sannyasi, and when he was at Puri, his feminine devotees could not even come near to offer their respects. They were advised to bow down from a distant place. This is not a sign of hatred for women as a class, but it is a stricture imposed on the sannyasi not to have close connections with women. One has to follow the rules and regulations of a particular status of life in order to purify his existence. For a sannyasi, intimate relations with women and possession of wealth for sense gratification are strictly forbidden. The ideal sannyasi was Lord Chaitanya himself, and we can learn from his life that he was very strict in regards to women. Although he is considered the most liberal incarnation of Godhead, accepting the most fallen conditioned soul, he strictly followed rules and regulations of the sannyasa order of life in connection with association with women. One of his personal associates, namely Chota Haridasa, was associated with Lord Chaitanya, along with his other confidential personal associates. But somehow or the other, this Chota Haridasa looked lustily on the young woman, and Lord Chaitanya was so strict that he at once rejected him from the society of his personal associates. Lord Chaitanya said, for a person or anyone who is aspiring to get out of the clutches of material nature and trying to elevate himself to the spiritual nature and go back home, back to Godhead, for him, looking toward material possessions and women for sense gratification, not even enjoying them, but just looking at them with such a propensity, is so condemned that he had better commit suicide than before experiencing such illicit desires. So these are the processes for purification. The next item is Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, being engaged in the cultivation of knowledge. Sannyasi life is meant for distributing knowledge to the householders and others who have forgotten their real life of spiritual advancement. A sannyasi is supposed to beg from door to door for his livelihood, but this does not mean that he is a beggar. Humility is also one of the qualifications of a transcendentally situated person. And out of sheer humility, the sannyasi goes from door to door, not exactly for the purpose of begging, but to see the householders and awaken them to Krishna consciousness. This is the duty of a sannyasi. If he is actually advanced and so ordered by his spiritual master, he should preach Krishna consciousness and with logic and understanding. And even if one is not so advanced, he should accept the renounced order of life. But even if one has accepted the renounced order of life without sufficient knowledge, he should engage himself fully in hearing from a bona fide spiritual master to cultivate knowledge. A sannyasi, or one in the renounced order of life, must be situated in fearlessness, sattva samshuddhi, purity, and jnana yoga, knowledge. The next item is charity. Charity is meant for the householders. The householders should earn a livelihood by an honorable means and spend 50% of their income to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. Thus, a householder should give in charity to institutional societies that are engaged in that way. Charity should be given to the right receiver. There are three kinds of charity, as will be explained later on. Charity in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Charity in the mode of goodness is recommended by the scriptures, but charity in the modes of passion and ignorance is not recommended because it is simply a waste of money. Charity should be given only to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. That charity is in the mode of goodness. Then, as far as Dhamma, self control, is concerned, it is not only meant for the other orders of religious societies, but it is especially meant for the householder. Although he has a wife, the householder should not use his senses for sex life unnecessarily. There are restrictions for the householders even in sex life, which should only be engaged in the propagation of children. If one does not require children, he should not enjoy sex life with his wife. Modern society enjoys sex life with contraceptive methods or even more abominable methods to avoid the responsibility of children. This is not in the transcendental quality, but is demoniac. If anyone, even if he is a householder, wants to make progress in spiritual life, he must control his sex life and should not beget a child without the purpose of serving Krishna. If one is able to beget children who will be in Krishna consciousness, one can produce hundreds of children, but without this capacity, one should not indulge only for sense pleasure. Sacrifice is another item to be performed by the householders because sacrifices require a large amount of money. Those in others' order of life, namely Brahmacharya, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa, have no money. They live by begging. So, performance in different types of sacrifices meant for the householders. They should perform Agnihotra sacrifices as enjoined in the Vedic literature, but such sacrifices at the present moment are very expensive and it is not possible for any householder to perform them. The best sacrifice recommended in this age is called Sankirtan Yajna. This Sankirtan Yajna, the chanting of the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the best and most inexpensive sacrifice. Everyone can adopt it and derive benefit. So these three items, namely charity, self-control and performance of sacrifice, are meant for the householder. Then Svadhyaya, Vedic study, is meant for Brahmacharya or student life. Brahmacharis should have no connection with women. They should live a life of celibacy and engage the mind in the study of Vedic literature for cultivation of spiritual knowledge. This is called Swadhyaya. Tapas or austerity is specially meant for the retired life. One should not remain a householder throughout his whole life. He must always remember that there are four divisions of life: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. So, after Grihastha, householder life, one should retire. If one lives for 100 years, he should spend 25 years in student life, 25 in householder life, 25 in retired life, and 25 in the renounced order of life. These are the regulations of Vedic religious discipline. A man retired from household life must practice austerities of the body, mind, and tongue. That is tapasya. The entire Varnashrama Dharma society is meant for tapasya. Without tapasya or austerity, no human being can get liberation. That theory that there is no need of austerity in life, that one can go on speculating and everything will be nice, is recommended neither in the Vedic literature nor in Bhagavad Gita. Such theories are manufactured by show bottle spiritualists who are trying to gather more followers. If there are restrictions, rules, and regulations, people will not become attracted. Therefore, those who want followers in the name of religion, just to have a show only, don't restrict the lives of the students, nor their own lives. But that method is not approved by the Vedas. As far as the Brahminical quality of simplicity is concerned, not only should a particular order of life follow this principle, but every member, be he in the Brahmacharya ashrama, Grihastha ashrama, the Vanaprastha ashrama, or the Sannyasa ashrama, one should be very simple and straightforward. Ahimsa means not arresting the progressive life of any living entity. One should not think that since the spirit spark is never killed, even after killing the body, there is no harm in killing animals for sense gratification. People are now addicted to eating animals in spite of having an ample supply of grains, fruits, and milk. There is no necessity for animal killing. This injunction is for everyone. When there is no alternative, one may kill an animal, but it should be offered in sacrifice. At any rate, when there is an ample food supply for humanity, persons who are desiring to make advancement in spiritual realization should not commit violence to animals. Real ahimsa means not checking anyone's progressive life. The animals are also making progress in their evolutionary life by transmigrating from one category of animal life to another. If a particular animal is killed, then his progress is checked. If an animal staying in a particular body for so many days or so many years is untimely killed, then he has to come back in that form of life to complete the remaining days in order to be promoted to another species of life. So that progress should not be checked simply to satisfy one's palate. This is called ahimsa. Satyam. This word means that one should not distort the truth for some personal interest. In Vedic literature, there are some difficult passages, but the meaning or the purpose should be learned from a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master. That is the process for understanding the Vedas. Shruti means one should hear from the authority. One should not construe some interpretation for his personal interest. There are so many commentaries on Bhagavad Gita that misinterpret the original text. The real import of the word should be presented, and that should be learned from a spiritual master. Akrodha means to check anger. Even if there is provocation, one should be tolerant, for once he becomes angry, his whole body becomes polluted. Anger is a product of the mode of passion and lust. So one who is transcendentally situated should check himself from anger. Apaishana means that one should not find fault with others or correct them unnecessarily. Of course, to call a thief is not fault finding, but to call an honest person a thief is very much offensive for one who is making advancement in spiritual life. Hri means that one should be very modest and must not perform some act which is abominable. Achapalam, determination, means that one should not be agitated or frustrated in some attempt. There may be failure in some attempt, but one should not be sorry for that. He should make progress with patience and determination. The word tejas used here is meant for the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas should always be very strong and be able to give protection to the weak. They should not pose themselves as non-violent. If violence is required, they must exhibit it. But a person who is able to curb down his enemy may, under certain conditions, show forgiveness. He may excuse minor offenses. Shaucha means cleanliness, not only in mind and body, but in one's dealings also. It is especially meant for the mercantile people who should not deal in the black market. Natimanita, not expecting honor, applies to the Shudras, the worker class, which are considered, according to Vedic injunctions, to be the lowest of the four classes. They should not be puffed up with unnecessary prestige or honor and should remain in their own status. It is the duty of the Shudras to offer respect to the higher class for the upkeep of the social order. All these 26 qualifications mentioned are transcendental qualities. They should be cultivated according to the different statuses of social and occupational order. The purport is that even though material conditions are miserable, if these qualities are developed by practice by all classes of men, then gradually it is possible to rise to the highest platform of transcendental realization. Thank you for watching, and I will tell the next shloka in the next video.